What's up guys, and welcome to my hands-on with the Razer Phone 2. Now I'm here live at the event. This is actually a backstage room that they've provided for me. We're gonna talk about how Razer took the existing Razer Phone, which had a number of weaknesses. We're gonna go over those weaknesses, and we're gonna see how Razer has improved the Razer Phone 2 dramatically. I've got the Razer Phone 2 right here, hands-on, with the LED light-up logo. This thing is pretty sick. Let's dive into this. Here we go. Now I used the original Razer Phone as my primary phone for about 6 months over the course of the last year. First, and most importantly, the camera was lackluster. It had the same sensor from the Galaxy S7, but the software especially was lacking when compared to the Galaxy S7, for example. It just wouldn't perform nearly as well, especially when the S8, and now we have the S9, and the Google Pixel 2 XL, and the iPhone 10, and all those phones just took so much better photos that if you were a camera person, you really had to upgrade to a different phone if you wanted to have a good camera. Now Razer has completely redone the camera, new sensors. We don't know how good exactly it's gonna be, and they're continuing to update and improve the software. We now have a portrait mode. Now there's talk of additional modes that I can't discuss with you, but they are continually adding to and improving the software. This is supposed to have significantly improved low light. It's also supposed to have an improved front camera. Now the previous Razer Phone had a 120 Hz IPS LCD display, extremely fast, extremely responsive, and very great to play games on, but its major weakness was it didn't get very bright. Razer measured it at 380 nits, while this new Razer Phone 2 has a new and improved 580 nit display that should match most high-end smartphones. I think the iPhone XS Max is rated to a 625 nits brightness. This will essentially get the Razer Phone to the point where you should be able to use it outdoors. Another issue that plagued the Razer Phone was its signals didn't always communicate very well. With its new Razer Phone 2 has an improved modem in it that should support a lot more bands and therefore support more carriers. Mainly we're looking at Verizon and Sprint customers that hopefully will be able to use this Razer Phone 2 successfully. This affected me when I was an original Razer Phone user because my signal did not work especially great at my house, when it worked quite a bit better with the S9 and the iPhone XS Max. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Razer Phone 2 performs as an actual phone this time. It should be quite a bit improved. There is two more major features that the original Razer Phone was lacking, and that is no wireless charging and no water and dust resistance. It now features fast wireless charging as well as water and dust resistance, which is particularly impressive because they upgraded the speakers at the same time they made them waterproof. Now this thing still has the fingerprint sensor on the side, which I actually really liked. Now there's been a major overhaul with the design. We now have a glass back, and this feels a lot nicer in the hand. I think the original aluminum was a little bit slippery. This is not gonna be slippery. This thing looks freaking classy. I really like the glass back. Because it's a glass back, they've included an RGB LED that is chroma enabled, so you can change the colors and just do all kinds of cool things with it. It's actually not gonna just be a pretty thing, it's also gonna be very useful because you're gonna be able to get LED notifications here. So for example, when you get a notification from YouTube, it's gonna turn red. When you get something from Facebook, it's gonna turn blue. If you get something from Snapchat, it'll turn yellow. Now to top it off, they've also got this new wireless charging stand, which is really, really cool looking. It's chroma lighting enabled. It changes colors depending on the battery charge of your phone. It's also gonna be compatible with notification colors. Now the Razer Phone 2 is available for pre-order as of midnight tonight, which is gonna be 10/11/2018, and it's gonna be available for sale, I believe, on 10/22/2018. So just in a couple of weeks here, it'll be shipping out. Now it's gonna cost $799. Its core internals is a Snapdragon 845. This thing has vapor chamber cooling on the inside. Now the original Razer Phone had an aluminum back that helped disperse that heat. It was essentially a giant heat sink. Well, with the glass back, they had to figure out another way of cooling the device. This still has a metal trim around the outside. It's gonna be very interesting to see how well this thing handles under continuous gaming load, because that is, again, the biggest focus of this device. One thing that is really cool, I think, is that they maintained the same size of battery, which is 4000 mAh. Now, when it comes to battery life, you might actually see a little bit less battery on this device, and the main reason is the screen can get so much brighter, and that's gonna take up more juice. Now, when I was using the Razer phone as my daily driver, I would usually get about 3 hours and 45 minutes to 4 hours of screen on time at 120 Hertz refresh rate. Now, that is a fairly low battery time for that high of an mAh battery, and the reason is because that 120 Hertz display just takes a ton of juice, pushing out that many pixels at the 1440p resolution. Now, if you reduce the refresh rate down to 90 Hertz, you're gonna have dramatically better battery life, about 25% more battery life, because it makes sense. You're pushing out 25% less pixels. Now, if you were to also couple that with reducing it to a 1080p resolution, you're gonna get, again, dramatically more battery life, because again, you're pushing out less pixels. So if you want really, really high battery life, you have that in here. Now, you also have a number of software features such as Game Booster, which allows you to tweak FPS inside of different games so that you can set it so that if you want to get 90 frames per second or 120 frames per second or only 30 frames per second for more battery life, you can do that. Now, I was able to play Fortnite for a few minutes. The Razer phone is going to be one of the devices that is compatible with Fortnite. Unfortunately, you're only going to be capped to 30 frames per second in Fortnite. That said, there are a number of games that support the 120 Hertz refresh rate. Honestly, the main thing for me about the 120 Hertz display is just using the phone. Everything is just better when you have a 120 Hertz display, browsing the websites, sliding between apps, and the way Razer has optimized their phone is that it's always churning out high frame rates. It's always at a high frequency. It doesn't downclock nearly as much as other phones, so the stuttering is not really evident on a Razer phone. It's all extremely, extremely responsive. I mean, just look at how buttery smooth using this device is. It's fantastic. Overall, I'm actually really psyched about this. Now, this is gonna retail for $799, which undercuts a lot of its competitors, including the Note 9, the iPhone XS and XS Max. This is far from a budget smartphone, but it is quite a bit cheaper than a lot of its competitors, which is a huge thumbs up from me, especially with all the additions and improvements. I gotta say, it's an impressive job overall from Razer. So that's the Razer Phone 2. Not perfect, but it's a lot closer to a fully featured flagship device than last year's Razer Phone. I'm definitely gonna give it a whirl as my main phone. I can't wait. I'm currently rocking the iPhone XS Max, and you can see that they are almost identical in size, with the exception that the Razer has these corners on the side here. That's it for my initial impressions of the Razer Phone 2. If you haven't already, be sure to go down and hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell, hit that like button. Much appreciated. We'll see you guys in the next one. Brandon out.